Alright, hey guys. Today I'm just going to be showing a quick tutorial. I'm going to be editing this picture right here. I took it at the Mission Inn, and as you can see, it's pretty underexposed. That was my fault. I had the settings wrong. As you can see, the ISO was only at 320 at 1/400th of a second. The ISO should have been up way higher, and the shutter speed probably should have been a lot down lower. But that was just a mistake that I made, and I still think that edit will come out pretty good. So, first of all, the first thing I need to adjust is the exposure. Clearly it's too low. Right about, I don't know. I think that right there is a good exposure. Like, obviously right now it doesn't look very good, but once we get all these other bars in there, it'll start looking pretty good. Alright, so we want to bump the contrast up. For right now, let's go up to 36. Obviously right now, if I bump up the contrast, it'll look a little better, but I think after I adjust the highlights and shadows and the whites and blacks and all that stuff, it'll look better with just like a 33 or so contrast. So let's bring the highlights down just a hair. It might not look like it's making a big difference now, but I guarantee it will in a little bit. So that's what I like doing a lot of times, is I like just bringing the highlights down, bringing the shadows up. It kind of balances everything out. Like I said, right now you might not see too big of a difference, but I guarantee by the end of this video you will see a big difference. Same things. I like to take out the whites entirely. As you can see in this section right here, when you take out the whites, it just makes the skin color look a little more natural. Let's see, bring the blacks down as well. That gives it a little more of a high contrasty look. So kind of like that. So now it's starting to look a little bit better. Look at before and after. You can see it's starting to look good. Not great quite just yet, but still not looking bad. For me personally, I like to bring the clarity down just to like there. It's just a personal preference. I don't know. It just makes everything look a little softer, but I don't know. That's just my own style. I usually don't mess with the saturation bar. I'll just bring the vibrance up to, that's good enough. I don't know. I think that's good. Okay, so now here's the next part. This is probably the most important part, the tone curve. This is really complicated, and to be honest with you, I don't really understand it completely myself. But what I like to do is make 3 points, like right here. Okay, there's already a point here at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and when you drag this middle point down, as you can see, the contrast goes up. You see that? So I like to just drag it down just a little bit like that right there. Give it a little bit more contrast, kind of like right here. And then this bottom bar right here, bring it up and see how that fades out the background. It almost gives it that, you know, like visco cam type look. So I think just fade it up a little bit, and then this guy down just a hair. I think that makes the tone curve look pretty nice. Yeah, so we're not looking too bad at this point. Once again, see the side by side. It's already looking a lot better, but it still has a long ways to go. So let's see, saturation. I really like to just leave the saturation bar right here. Is good. I think the colors in this are fine. Maybe a little warm tones, but I like the way it looks personally. I might bring the orange down just a hair. Probably not making a big difference, but I'll just do that for now. Okay, detail. So sharpening, typically on all of my photos, I like to sharpen up to about 75 with a radius of 1. That's good. That's good. Masking maybe just up a little bit. That's good. But as you can see, it's pretty grainy still, and there's kind of a lot of noise in there. Oh, the color's already there. Usually the color bar is going to be down to 0. So just without any sharpening or luminance, as you can see, it's very grainy. It looks like an old TV. I don't know, it just does not look very good when zoomed in. At any high ISO, that's just the way it's going to be. So I like to bring the sharpening up. 75, like I said, masking just a little bit. Luminance, I like to bring it up to about, say, 42 is good. Color, this is huge. See how there's like purple and green and yellow? It's because the camera doesn't detect the blacks and the darker colors, and so it doesn't really know what to do, so it brings in all these different colors that you don't want. So by bringing the color up to about 25 or so, or 27, whatever it may be, yeah, 24 is good. It totally removes that, and it makes the picture just look so much better. So as you can see, picture's starting to look really good now, once again, before and after. and these are all personal preferences, but I would highly suggest you use at least the color bar right here. You don't have to do the sharpening like I did. But yeah. So let's see, lens corrections. I don't really see any fringing or any. No, I don't see any fringing. I think that's good as far as like I don't need to do any lens corrections. It might be a little tilted, but let me see what auto does. Sometimes that tilts it funny. Come on, is it gonna do it? Did it do it? No upright correction found. Okay, cool. So it says there's nothing I can do about that. Okay, so vignetting, I don't know. I can just maybe bring it down just a hair. I think that's fine. Personally, I like to keep the midpoint at like 30 something and then feather it out a lot. I don't know, that's just personal preference. But I think that this picture doesn't really need it because the background's already so dark. But yeah. Alright, so let's get into some little adjustment brush stuff, because I think that this picture is good the way it is right now, but I think it can get a lot better. So let's bring it back to right here. Let's zoom in a little bit, and let's try something here. I'm going to try to make this side of her face darker than this side. This is just going to try to give it an artistic effect that this half of her body is dark and this half is light, and it'll make the lighting effect look even cooler. So for this picture, let's see, bump up the clarity, saturation maybe up a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to turn down the density to like 22. I think that should be good. Let me see. Hold on, let me take off this show selected mask overlay. Okay, right now it might look a little weird, but I can make little bits of adjustments later. Okay, so I'm just gonna darken this whole side of her, just as if the shadows are a lot stronger than they actually are. Okay. Kind of like that. I think that's good. Let's see the. Okay. Let me zoom in on her eye, because I don't want her eye to be any darker than it was before. I want her eye to sparkle. And it's nice because in this picture right here, it has this little dot thing right there, and that's going to look great. Her eye's going to look glowing. Like, it's going to look really good. This down here, though, it's got to stay not lit up, or it's going to look funny. Okay. So now that side of her face is darker, it might look a little weird right now, but like I said, we can always workshop it a little bit. Okay, this is something I like to do. I like to soften the skin. I mean, her face is like, it's totally clear. Like, there's no blemishes whatsoever. Like, her skin's perfect, but I'm going to try to at least smoothen this stuff out right here, because there's a little bit of awkward shadows that almost makes it look non-realistic, you know what I mean? So I'm going to just try to just do skin soften right here, and maybe it'll smooth it out a little bit and make it look a little more real. Yeah, a little bit of a difference. I don't know. Like, lots of this stuff, like I said, is personal preference, and it's not going to make a huge difference on the photo. No one's really going to notice, but as the photographer, as the editor, you notice the little things. So, yeah. I think that's good right there for skin softening. Maybe I'll just soften, like, right under here a little bit more, just because, like I said, the shadows are kind of awkward due to the exposure adjustment I did on the left side of her face. And I'm just going to make sure that her eye isn't unsmooth. Okay, so I think that's good. Alright, so now is the fun part. Let's brighten up her eye. I mean, her eye's already bright, and it's a like beautiful blue color, but I want to bring that out even more. So let's take the temperature down, bring the exposure up, let's even bring the clarity up, saturation up, and we're just going to have to work with this density because I don't know how much I should put. I think that's a good density. Wow, her pupils are really dilated in this picture. Look at that. I think that's the right word. They're just like very open. Notice that? It's kind of cool. It's probably because we were kind of like in a dark area. I don't know. Okay, let me darken this middle part so it looks like her eyes are glowing a little more. Make sure it still looks realistic. I think it looks pretty good. And yeah, I think that's just about it. So you can see this side of her is a lot darker than this side of her, making it have a cool effect, making it look like this side's way more lit up than this side. So once again, let's look at the side by side. I don't know, just personally I think this side looks a lot better. So that's typically my process in editing. It varies from picture to picture. I don't always do the little details. Sometimes I'll cut corners for sure, but this is just the general, I don't know, this is just my usual edit that I'll do. I'll usually mess with the tone curve a little bit, give it the Visco Cam type faded look, and sometimes I'll even go more like this, right, like that. In this picture though, I kind of like the high contrasty look without it being faded too much. But yeah, that's my usual process for editing a photo on Lightroom. Sometimes I'll Photoshop a little bit, but anyways, thank you guys for watching this, I don't know, tutorial or just demonstrating the way that I edit. And if you want me to make future videos like this, or you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Alright, thank you guys for watching.